So some of the main things we're going to bring back to our work in New York is one, just concrete ways other groups have used human rights and local organizing, things that at work, challenges that a lot of people face in trying to connect something so broad to local organizing.
I'm going to set up a town hall and educate the community on these human rights.
Planted a seed for when we go home, how we can educate and work with our bases on understanding human rights more fully, and then how to uphold this dignity in our communities.
Helps to have people who are also working in this movement to kind of break it down for us, and then for us to be able to go back and talk about the ways that we can use these mechanisms from a community perspective to try to enforce them and make sure they're complied with.
To the community and training them and talking to them, teaching them about their rights that they have as a human will empower them and will give them the opportunity to talk back and say, hey, this is rights of mine.
It's from the community and for the community, but I think that I guess it's our job now to really empower our community with this knowledge that we already have, but just to be able to speak about it.
That's the main thing I'm taking back, is to convince our people that we can frame it as a human right, so that we can bring in even more alliances and use that to be able to advance our causes.
I think very practically we are in the process of doing curriculum for discussing human rights and in opposition to civil rights and how it applies in the context of national security and immigration policies within Los Angeles and then the country broadly. So we're going to be doing it for South Asian college students.
Me personally, I didn't know all of them, so I'm going to take that back and what I learned and take it to the community, to the youth, and have the youth educate their parents. That's how it works in our community.
I think I'm going to take back some of the popular education tools from this training and a lot of the materials around the structure, the superstructures of human rights and how we can make them accessible to community members, to think of what they're facing from a human rights perspective, as well as ways to link up some of the movements that are happening in North Carolina.
So that's going to be the challenge, is to try to speak more about this in the context of human rights in Congress and with other policymakers.
And also our community members can be actors in holding the government responsible for enacting real change that includes our human rights.
Go back and say, okay, you call him undocumented, but this is the right that they have internationally.
I would like to get more involved on the international level.
So now that I having this frame, I can take it to our community and talk about what's the human rights. So they will be prepared for issues.
I think this training has given me some vocabulary to encompass all the social justice work, and which will help the coalition building, and maybe bring some different organizations and groups that may not work on the specific issues that we work on to at least jump on board, sign on, put their name on.
About going back home and applying more of the things that I've learned here with what we're doing, because before it was just difficult for me to see that connection with the whole, human rights, everybody in the world having the same rights, and connecting that to what we were fighting here in the U.S. But it's clear to me now.
It's useful, especially when I go back to the community and try to explain why we should work in broader coalitions. Not just that, we'll get help, but we also have to give help. And the way to explain it, I think, best is the human rights context.
I think human rights is something that we believe is fundamental, and it's not something that you're saying, oh, I want human rights, but I feel like maybe that's why in some instances we really haven't obtained some of the reform that we want, because we haven't been really looking at it in that bigger picture. So I really felt it was helpful, and obviously the people's conversations and the comments really got me thinking about other things.
A vision developing how we can become whole again, and not how we are now, that we're very divided, pain. There's a lot of hurt in our communities, there's a lot of repression, and that we can find a way to make ourselves whole again.